Hello and welcome to the Hash, and happy all-time high day if you celebrate it. I am Zach Seward. We got Will Foxley, Jen Sanasi, and Naomi Brockwell on the program today. Naomi, big news in the world of Bitcoin. Please start us off.
Absolutely. I'm going to throw it to Will, though. Will, please.
This is
Zach
my moment.
Just flustered.
This is my moment, Zach.
I disrespected the orange coin lover. Will, I am so sorry. Please lead us off today.
Noted
with the big
orange
story
coin
about
hater Naomi Brockwell does not get to open the show when we're talking.
Oh my goodness! Stop.
Oh my gosh, we're starting the show off with some flow.
Let's not get distracted, though. We got to talk about the all-time high. Bitcoin cruised right through it, broke. We're at 66. It's not at 66666, which was, notable for other reasons, but $66,000 per orange coin, which is a huge deal. That's the biggest ever. That breaks April's all-time high of 6,400. I think it hit like 64840 was the top there in April. And now we went through this whole bear market mini cycle over the summer. A lot of people lost the faith. September was super bloody. A lot of people went down their portfolios 50%. And now here we are back on the pinnacles of all-time highs. So that's pretty fantastic. Jen, I'm going to throw this down to you as the only other person who really cares about Bitcoin on this show. What's your takeaway?
Well, I'm going to cut in there. Why do you keep saying that?
Naomi, don't steal my thunder now.
Before you were even born, boy. All right, Jen, handing it off to you.
I mean, Will, you shared a video in our Slack group earlier today, and it just encapsulated my feelings. It just looks like
Do we have that video?
Happy morning. We're going to pump it up. My shoulders have been moving all morning. We don't have the video, but I know
Controls
that...
are fun.
I know. They just kill fun on all-time high day. I know that we're all going to share stories about our Bitcoin stories and our Bitcoin journey. So I'll just start us off. And then, Naomi, I will pass it to you because I know you have a lot to say. But mine, I think this show has played a big part in mine. So I got into the space in I think 2016 after taking advice from friends. I didn't really know what I was getting into. I didn't really understand it. That's why I'm a huge supporter of educating yourself. It worked out for me, but I fell into the crypto space because I was doing my MBA. And there's an incubator that was running out of my school, and they had a blockchain boot camp. And I knew nothing about blockchain. And I was like, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to go to this boot camp, and I'm just going to be super honest about what I know and what I don't know. And on that very first day, I met the co-founders of a crypto company that we run now. And I just fell into the space. It's been a really educational journey for me over the last three or 4 years. I don't remember how much Bitcoin was back then. So I'm sorry, I can't give that colorful comment, but it's just been a really kind of educational past few years for me. I went back to school again to study the regulation around crypto. By my comments a lot of time on the show, you probably wouldn't know that, but I'm just continuing to learn in the space.
Wow, what a downer this morning.
And it's really cool. Now our producers call me an NFT queen. So it's been a really exciting journey for me. It's one that's continuing. But Naomi, take us back to when you got into the space.
Take us back. It's been a journey, guys. It's been a journey. So I first heard about Bitcoin 2012 in the Ron Paul era. When someone on the campaign came to this economics meetup that I used to go to and started talking about Ron Paul, and then I found out about Bitcoin through that. But then I started making videos about Bitcoin 2013. So I was interviewing everyone around New York, all of the startups that were there. This was pre-BitLicense. So this is when there was actually a Bitcoin scene in New York City. There were companies actually based there before the mass exodus of the BitLicense. And then from there, just doing stuff. So I started working at the New York Bitcoin Center 2013 as a policy associate. I wrote a children's book about Bitcoin, and then really just covering the space and making sure people knew how exciting this was. Because at the time, most of my videos were all about this could potentially be a tool for freedom. And everyone was like, you're an idiot. And then now, we have all kinds of countries around the world, citizens of countries exploring this as a way out and as a tool for freedom. So it was very obvious to a lot of people in the early days how valuable a decentralized money supply would be. And so super excited. I don't know if Control can do a zoom in Got my ticker right there, 66,000.
You're asking a lot right now.
Control, zoom.
I'm asking a lot.
Zoom now.
Control, zoom. No, they can't zoom.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the ticker, the rocket there, 66,000. We've come a long way since 2012 to 2013. But Zach, I'm going to throw it to you.
Sure. I'm just a lowly journalist here in the space, so, cover the thing with a degree of healthy remove. But, I'm a bear market native, joined CoinDesk November 1st, 2018, when I think Bitcoin was like, I don't know, 3K? I'm probably going to embarrass myself by not knowing that. But was a bit of a wintry time to be jumping into the space feet first to cover it. And whether or not it had the staying power, I think, was still an open question, even though the technology itself had been around for a number of years at that point. So seeing it sort of run up past previous run up to all-time highs, back down, and then back up again to where we are today, definitely remarkable to see the enthusiasm around this asset class. I think, really crystallized by the Bitcoin futures ETF launch just the other day. So for the price to be growing in turn feels like, that sort of natural sentiment around Bitcoin. Sentiment often moves these markets maybe perhaps a bit more in a bit more pronounced fashion than, the fundamentals or quote unquote reality, but there certainly are real world tailwinds that are helping Bitcoin as well. I think people are increasingly concerned about inflation, are increasingly concerned about some of the issues that Bitcoin seeks to fix as it relates to the traditional financial system. So, the ETF, I think people are celebrating that in the US, but there are also macro factors that are sort of adding to this boost that we're seeing here toward the end of 2021. And, it's one of those moments where you're kind of in uncharted waters, right? You don't know what's going to happen to the orange coin when it's treading above all-time highs. Could go significantly higher, could do any number of things. And that's what our markets team is looking at today as Bitcoin charts new highs. But I'm going to toss this to you, Will. Curious for your thoughts on Bitcoin.
Yeah, to fact check you. I don't get to do that often, but November 2018, the price broke below 6K for the first time in quite a while. And that's kind of where the first bear market began, you can say, for Bitcoin after that previous all-time high. So you joined the industry at a notable time. Kind of with you on that, I joined around 2018. My first instance of hearing about Bitcoin was 2013 when my buddy was buying weed off the dark market with Bitcoin. I think a lot of people my age had interest in Bitcoin that way. Now here we are 7-8 years later, very different world. Interesting to see that. When I first got into Bitcoin, prices are around the same, 6K, just like you. Now it's obviously much higher, 10 times that multiple, but it wasn't always like that. It's been up and down market, just like you said, Zach. It's taken a while to kind of understand where things are going, and journalists don't always get to enjoy the benefits of that. But yeah, wild to see all that kind of stuff come together. And just to touch on the ETF, it traded at, I think, almost $1 billion in volume yesterday, which was just extremely notable to see that a Bitcoin ETF is so demanded by the market. Even if it's imperfect, even if it's a futures contract and a cash trade, the market still is demanding this product so much that, in fact, it was one of the highest openings for an ETF product ever. So pretty notable day all around. Pretty awesome to see Bitcoin so high right now.
Yay!
Naomi, I will throw it over to you for our next topic.
Yeah, I wanted to just add to your point, Will, because I think that weed is the way a lot of people got involved with Bitcoin. And I do want to mention that although we talk about Bitcoin Pizza Day as being the first example of real world goods being traded for Bitcoin, it was the Silk Road that made Bitcoin. It was the Silk Road that popularized it and actually showed that there was a use case for this. It's a market that's heavily regulated. A lot of people don't understand why a medicine like marijuana would be illegal, but it is. And so a lot of people were going to the Silk Road, which was a predominantly marijuana marketplace. If you guys want to learn about the travesty of justice that was the Silk Road takedown and Ross Ulbricht, who was given 2 life sentences plus 40 years, head over to freeross.org. And if you are interested in his story, maybe you can even sign the petition for clemency, because it's an absolute disgusting story. And I was at the hearings and it was just absolutely terrible. And yeah, it was thanks to Silk Road that we have Bitcoin really proven as a use case. But let's change track here to some more government antics, which you know that I love to talk about. So we're talking about Facebook here. Now, yesterday on the show, we talked about how they are planning to relaunch. They've got their Novi wallet. They're partnering with Paxos, a stablecoin, rather than releasing their own at this point in time. Now, when Facebook first announced that they were getting involved with digital currencies, lawmakers went crazy and said, you need to stop this immediately. Well, they said, okay, well, we won't launch until we have official approval and we get the right licenses and all this. Now, all these years later, they decided, okay, well, we're still not going to launch our own stablecoin, but we're going to partner with these other guys. We're just going to launch a wallet. That still isn't good enough for lawmakers who have demanded that they cease all production on this and not launch their new Novi wallet. So pretty interesting, especially the rhetoric that they're coming out with, which is, again, it's all about like protecting customers, and we can't have financial instability, and we don't trust Facebook, to run currency, but we can trust the Senate. So some interesting things here to dive into. I'm going to throw this to you, Will, for your thoughts. It's not surprising, right?
I'll give the educated take to Mr. Seward in a second, but I will give just the harebrained take. This is just so hilarious to see that the only time Congress is interested in cryptocurrency is when Zuckerberg's name is attached to it. It doesn't matter like what else is going on, Tether, Bitcoin, ETFs, who cares? They don't care at all. Zuckerberg gets involved and they're like, oh, we gotta stamp down on this. This guy's gonna like really mess everything up for everybody. It makes no sense to me. There's tons of stable coins already out on the market. It's a huge industry it's like its own right at this point. There's already this DeFi market that has popped onto the scene because of stable coins, and now they're interested because of Zuckerberg. This reminds me a lot of 2 weeks ago with a Finsta comment from that senator. He was asking an Instagram executive to shut down Finsta because he didn't know what a Finstagram was, like a fake Instagram account. He had no idea what that was, and he was demanding that Instagram shut down Finstas. Well, we have the same thing here. It's like they're hilarious. Like Zuckerberg controls Bitcoin, and now they're going after it. Whatever. Zach, I'll throw it to you.
I think that is a smart take. I think yesterday we were sort of wondering if, Novi decided to launch this on the day of the Bitcoin futures ETF so that something like this wouldn't happen, right? There's enough stuff going on in the market that it wouldn't be noticed by grandstanding politicians in DC. That did not work here in this instance. They issued this letter mere hours after this news went live, really showing how easy it is to score political points on Mark Zuckerberg's behind. So was really shocked to see this happen. Thought they were going to slip this one under the radar. Thought they were going to get that one out here. They had no embargoes. This just went live. They just shipped it. We're doing it. It did not work. And now there's a bunch of senators who are super drunk still sad at the idea of DM going live in some capacity. So I didn't think I would ever say this, but Libra has made me feel sympathy for Facebook in these last few years. I shed a tear when I see stuff like this happen. It's very wild. It's very wild for me to feel that way now here in 2021. I saw Jen had her hand up, but I also saw Naomi wanted to chime in, so I'll let you two hash it out.
Jen, you go first.
Duke it out. Yeah, I wanted to just read something from the letter. They said that Facebook has proved they cannot be trusted to protect user data. Therefore, they should not manage a payments network. But how many payments networks have showed us that they cannot be trusted to protect user data? I can remember a few big data breaches in recent history, and I don't know what really came out of that. Those financial service offerers are still offering financial services. So I just don't know why Facebook is any different. But Naomi, off to you.
Hey, amen to that, Jen. The fact that JP Morgan has a hack every other week and all kinds of user data is just leaked out, but then the Senate's like, but Facebook, it makes me wonder if there are other reasons why they may not like Facebook out there. Just throw that tidbit out there. But I will say this was the most entertaining part of their letter. They said, to be clear, your ability to secure state-issued money transmitter licenses is not equivalent to obtaining the blessing of all U.S. regulators, as you said in your testimony 2 years ago. So what now, as well as getting all of the licenses and jumping through all the official hoops, you have to go the unofficial route and get the blessing of all of these regulators who are like, my child, please go forth. This is the most stupidest, ridiculous things. Are they meant to go to Washington, D.C. and kiss the toes of all of these people who don't understand what cryptocurrency is? These people, honestly, it makes me so angry to see see them trying to control this inevitable future, which is government no longer having a monopoly on the money supply. And they're so terrified of a giant corporation like Facebook being able to, enable payment rails that are super cheap and super fast and super effective. And they really don't want that kind of competition out there. And they don't like Facebook in particular for political reasons. But it's just kind of crazy to see all this blowback, especially considering that there are wallets all over the world. There are companies all over the world who are doing the exact same thing, but it's Facebook that is not allowed to participate in this. But after that little bit of a rant, I'll throw it back to you, Zach.
I saw Will's hand, so I'm going to just lift it right up to him. Will, take it.
I'll grab it. No, I want to jump on Naomi's last point that the government doesn't want big corporations to get involved with this industry, but this industry is dominated by big corporations already, the Goldman Sachs and the JP Morgans of the world.
You have to have like the gold star, the blessing.
Really
it's the blessing, Will.
If you want to be involved, you really have to be lining the pocketbooks here. Also, Facebook can't do it, but what if Apple came through and did something like this? Does public perception of these companies determine so much of what products they're allowed to launch? Like, that's moving into a very Orwellian world where you can't launch a product unless you have the blessing of the big seal. It just doesn't make sense to me on that front, because I think Apple would be able to get away with something like this. They might have questions, but the fact that Facebook has had so many problems in the past with like the data scandals and election scandals, I think it's made them to be in a point where they're not able to launch new products like this, or not able to launch a stable coin. Even if it does have a lot of the transparency that comes along with using a public blockchain, they want to use ERC20 tokens, which is a very common token standard for stable coins. Very simple. All the data is public there. And they want to use that standard, but it doesn't even matter to these regulators because it's Facebook. Amy, I'll give back to you though before we go to break.
Yeah, I think that point's super important to drill down on, Will, when you said that because they've had these data breaches in the past, they're not being trusted. That's such bollocks, because we've since then had Facebook in the Senate saying we are doubling down on privacy. We are doubling down on securing data. We're going to encrypt the chat of every user. We're going to encrypt everything. We're going to just do this at 180 and everything's going to be privacy focused. Do you know what the government did then? They didn't applaud them and said, thank goodness you're looking out for users' privacy. They fought them on that and wrote letters to them again and said, you are not allowed to release these products. You are not allowed to release end-to-end encrypted chat. You are not allowed to encrypt the data of these users. And so it doesn't matter what Facebook does, the government's still going to go after them. The government doesn't want them to be involved with money. They don't want them to block off the data, which the government obviously is collecting and is thankful for Facebook for harvesting. So it's just this crazy situation. So just don't listen to this rhetoric where the government, these politicians say that it's about protecting the citizens and protecting the data and, they can't be trusted, because they've proven through their actions that this has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Can't believe we defended Facebook this morning.
I know we all defended Facebook. Dirty. Not a single one of us.
Yeah.
Listen, credit where credit's due, and they really did try for that privacy push. So anytime a company really does try for that, we gotta give that credit. So we may not like other things, but definitely they did try. Throwing to you, Zach. What's coming up after the break?
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to head to the CoinDesk Sports Desk. First, FTX and MLB. Now, Coinbase and NBA. Let's talk about that after the break. Stick with us. It's The Hash. We're glad you're here.
CoinDesk Indexes, the market standard for crypto assets since 2014. The CoinDesk DeFi Index is our latest product and provides insight and exposure into decentralized finance. Our indexes are key for investors looking to access and understand crypto markets.
The CoinDesk DeFi Index is the best tool for a diversified approach to this compelling new category of digital assets.
The CoinDesk DeFi Index, measuring the investable DeFi market.
Hello and welcome to The Hash. I'm Zach Seward. We are going to talk about sports and crypto partnerships. Just keep on coming. The latest one announced yesterday was Coinbase inking a multi-year deal with the NBA to become the NBA's official crypto partner. Again, this is reminiscent of crypto exchange FTX doing something similar with the Major League Baseball. And we saw all sorts of funny activations come out of that. including a thing that people are lovingly referring to as moonshots or moon blasts or something like that, where like a big home run, all the announcers are like, that's an FTX moon blast. So anyway, if you're watching Major League Baseball playoffs, you've been noticing many of those
baseball.
commercials. Baseball.
So such a fun sport.
Bro, one day I'll get you on board. Probably not, but I'll keep trying. So details were scanned here. We talked to Coinbase yesterday. They said, yeah, we're not going to say much beyond what we just said, but we'll let you know like when more details come out. So the details are scanned, but I think, the FTX MLB thing is a worthy analog as we think about what this could look like for Coinbase and the NBA. All right, as the resident NBA expert, I'm going to throw this to Will. This guy loves hoops. He's tall. He's like taller than he looks. Like if you see him, you might not
surprisingly tall.
Surprisingly tall.
Well,
this guy could probably dunk. This guy could probably dunk, and he's got a mean jump shot. So I'm going to toss it to him for his thoughts on
That was
Coinbase.
nice of you to say. That was nice of you to say.
No
Jen
problem.
and Naomi are actually surprisingly short, so there is that just to take into consideration. Like shockingly short. So no, you guys are lovable. You guys might actually be more lovable because you're shorter. I don't know. There's something about that.
Oh my gosh.
But
You're
interesting
so
deal.
done.
I might take this a different direction than you're thinking. But this deal included a few other leagues as well, including the WNBA, the NBA G League, the NBA 2K League, and USA Basketball. The thing to me that stood out there was NBA 2K League, which the NBA has really been pushing the last few years. NBA 2K, of course, is basically like a video game version of the NBA. And there's like this whole sports culture movement around it, whether that's people who are just playing it for fun in their homes or people who are doing professional tournaments with NBA 2K. And the NBA really gets involved with this. They really want to like develop this sort of league. And I see that as a natural corollary to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and any sort of partnership with Coinbase here. They're trying to promote like this digital world. We talked about yesterday the metaverse and how Paris Hilton is doing a lot of stuff there, like concerts and whatnot. Well, I think it's going to happen in sports leagues as well. You're going to see these sports leagues pop up. You're going to see people in the meat space be promoting it, and you're going to see people using crypto transacting on it. Otherwise, I think this is just like another big marketing deal out there. I've seen FTX pop on the scene doing a lot of different sports leagues, little tie-ins, whether it's the MLB or putting their naming rights in the Miami Heat arena. We're just going to keep seeing more of that as Bitcoin's price jumps up. Why? Well, sports has the biggest market audience, so you got to tap them if you really want to get more crypto in more people's pockets. Amy, I think your hand went up, but I'm not going to lie.
It didn't. I do have things to say, though, but I'll throw it to Jen to start off with, the other short person on the show.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Short
I'll
one,
take it for
short
the
two.
short people from here.
Passing that ball real low so you can grab it so it's in your line of sight.
All right. This reminded me of a tweet that I saw last week from Blockworks co-founder Jason Yanovitz. He said, I've spoken with 10 plus crypto CMOs this month. Every single one is spending millions on sports marketing next year. Venues, athletes, teams, commercials, jerseys will be taken over by crypto next year. And SBF responded and said, one of these days, I'm tempted to very publicly spend a tiny amount on a negative value deal just to see what the space's CMOs do. So a little jab there, I guess, from SBF to the crypto CMOs all jumping on the sports bandwagon. I'm wondering what the next industry is for crypto to take over. I feel like all of these mainstream brands are being displaced right now by all these very cool metaverse understanding crypto brands. I wonder what the next space is. I say that so often on the show, and I don't know. I mean, entertainment makes the most sense, but it just doesn't seem to have that sticking power like sports has so far.
Yeah, I think because sports is so tribal. I mean, you can have people who are like fans of a TV show, but they're not out there being like, I am a fan and I am watching this with my popcorn and the big team and I painted my face and I have decorations around. But the sports people are doing that. The sports people are crazy, you know? Will and Zach, I don't even understand people like you, but it is what it is. You've got this tribalism, and that drives people to products associated with those brands. So it's really smart that all of these companies are partnering with sports teams as kind of this first play. It's interesting to read the press release where they said that as part of the partnership, we're creating interactive experiences to engage with the NBA and the WNBA's incredible community. And so what this interactiveness will consist of is exciting. I mean, we know that Coinbase has launched their NFT platform. It's probably going to be giant, the biggest NFT platform out there if we know, if we look at Coinbase's history of, launching products like these. And so it is interesting that, perhaps they may have some sort of interactive NFT-based product associated with the NBA coming out. So I'm interested to see what that's going to look like and what that interaction is going to look like. But Zach, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, I think the NFT marketplace thing is spot on, right? Coinbase launched an NFT marketplace. Hey, FTX also launched an NFT marketplace. These two giant crypto exchanges have large sports partnerships in the works, locked and loaded. So I think seeing how that plays out on these two NFT platforms is going to be super interesting. And I think I think the appetite is still there, right? People are still discovering this stuff. We sort of take it for granted that this is sort of an established sector in the market, but there's plenty of people, from Martha Stewart fans all the way down to, whoever, fans of the Sacramento Kings, who have yet to ponder what NFTs could mean for them. So I think we're still, as much as I may hate to say this, I think we're still we're in the early innings of NFT adoption on the mainstream level. If you look at my inbox, a ton of pitches about new marketplaces coming to market, new projects being launched. There's still appetite to test this out on the mass scale, and we may see some interesting things come of it. So anyway, and I think on the NBA side, right, they kind of kicked off the NBA Top Shot thing through Dapper Labs. So it's another kind of crypto tie-up for what is kind of establishing itself as sort of a crypto-forward sports brand here in the U.S. and North America. Shout out to the Toronto Raptors. Canada mention, boom, got it. All right, I'm going to pass it off. To someone, and they're going to tell me about the next story. And that's going to be Jen.
It's my turn.
Let's do it.
All right, so we went from really fun and exciting to frustrating to fun and exciting. And now we are back at frustrating to close off the show. So the UK Financial Conduct Authority is launching a YouTube and TikTok campaign warning young investors of crypto. So the regulator says they found a huge understanding gap when it comes to high-risk investments. The FCA's Sarah Pritchard said the campaign is about empowering young investors, not inhibiting them. But she later said, we don't want to limit choice. We're just asking investors to pause and consider, are you prepared to lose all your money? And if the answer is yes, then fine. So this campaign is out there to educate the young people. Zach, I'm going to throw it right down to you.
I mean, we say that often. I mean, we say, hey, don't ape in more than you're willing to lose, because, hey, some of this stuff is still quite experimental here at this point in time. So, I don't necessarily think that's terrible advice. Before you ape in your life savings to the latest, DeFi platform that's offering 600% yields, recognize that something could go wrong with that move. And there's reason for people in positions of power to voice that. So as much as I want to dunk on the FCA here for being yeah, don't do it, there is a kernel of truth in some of this stuff. And, maybe it's worth voicing. But again, do your own research, all that good stuff. Crypto, self-regulating power of crypto bets. But I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But I just feel the advice may not be entirely off base. But I'm just going to set myself up for dunkage from Naomi on this one, because I see her ready. I see her ready to.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I am not at all afraid to dunk. Oh, shut up, Will. My God. I'm not at all afraid to dunk on the FCA. And it's not because they're not giving good advice regarding crypto. Absolutely. Do your research. Make sure you understand this stuff before you're throwing your money into it. But it's the fact that they're presenting these things as this very high risk thing, but traditional finance is, a lot safer. You could invest in index funds and that's going to be fine for your money. You could invest in government bonds and that's not a risk at all. If they're going to be talking about high risk, let's actually talk about it in an equal way. Let's actually talk about the high risk, which is government money. I mean, these agencies, their whole point is to basically advise people to stay away from the competing currencies, the currencies that take the power away from the government. And they're not talking about the risks of the government money at all. When we talk about risks on the show, I think we're pretty even-handed because we talk about, doing your own research into crypto, but we also talk about this failing, sovereign money system that's happening all over the world. We talk about the incredible inflation rate. We talk about the ridiculous amount of money printing, the fact that the velocity of money is way down, but as soon as that starts to climb, we're all screwed, right? We talk about all of that and how it's not the high risk or really safe. It's like, no, let's understand the risks of all of it and individuals can make their own decisions. I think that's the only way to move forward rather than presenting, the government money as being the super safe option. Let's actually understand the risks of this government issued money. But I'm going to throw it back to you, Jen.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I agree with both you, Naomi, and Zach. It feels like, and I haven't seen the ads yet, so I could be completely wrong. It just feels like there's a negative tinge in the sentiment around crypto. It feels like there's a negative skew, and we're not looking at all the facts and giving the education for people to make their own decisions. It feels a little bit like fear mongering. But I'm yet to see the ads, so we'll see. I'm not hopeful though. But Zach, I'll kick it off to you to close us off.
All right, that was a good show on Bitcoin all-time high day. That was fun. We had some highs, we had some lows. It was enjoyable. I had a good time.
The lows, obviously, Jen and me, because we're down low.
Yeah, you guys are the highs. Oh, over here.
I didn't want to allude to that callback, but I didn't want to state that callback. So thank you, Naomi.
Yeah. It's all right. I got you covered.
We're good. We got it. All right, cool. Thanks for watching The Hash again. We really appreciate all the fans out there who tune into us every day and leave funny YouTube comments too, apparently in the stream. Naomi, any good ones today? She's usually the one who's monitoring this.
Naomi's the only one who goes in there, so the rest of us aren't ignoring you.
Yeah, no, we had Kieran Mosqueda from Australia who's tuned in. He was singing Bitcoin Girl at the start of the show, so that made me feel pretty good. You got people talking about how short people can dribble the ball, right under the tall people. So we're at a total advantage.
There we go.
There we go. We got this covered.
There we go.
We got some fun things in the chat. Thanks for being here, guys. We appreciate it. Annie is not there.
Will has a secret admirer, Annie. Okay.
One day. Well, anyway, thanks so much, guys. It's been fun. Enjoy the crypto markets today. I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of crazy stuff going on because crypto never sleeps. And we will be back tomorrow to talk about all that has occurred in our 23-hour and 30-minute break. So thanks for tuning in. I'm Zach. That's Will, Jen, Naomi. Gang's all here. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
Bye.
See ya.